She'd bullied black men for years, hiding behind her badge, until the one she dragged into court made her entire world unravel. The air was dry, and the sky over Macon, Georgia, hung low with heat. Derrick Rowe was driving his rental car along Pine Street, just a few blocks from his mother's house. He had a grocery bag riding shotgun, milk, a loaf of bread, her favorite lemon cookies. His weekend back home was supposed to be simple, quiet. He hadn't been back in almost a year, but everything still looked the same, at least on the outside. He glanced in the rearview mirror. The patrol car behind him had been tailing him for about 5 blocks now. He slowed a little, turned his signal on, and changed lanes, hoping the cruiser would keep moving. It didn't. Lights flashed. Siren chirped once. Derrick sighed. "Here we go," he muttered, pulling over calmly. The patrol car door opened. Out stepped Officer Karen Delacroix, mid-40s, blonde, stiff posture, mirrored sunglasses. She moved like someone who knew she'd be obeyed. She placed one hand on her holster as she approached. "License and registration," she said, flatly. Derrick kept his hands on the wheel. "Sure. Just gonna reach into my glove compartment." "Nice and slow," she snapped. He moved deliberately, handed over the documents. "What brings you to this part of town?" "My mother lives 2 blocks away," he replied. She raised an eyebrow. "This car's rented?" "It is. I flew in from Seattle yesterday." Karen stared at him for a second too long. "Step out of the vehicle." Derrick blinked. "I'm sorry?" "Step out of the vehicle," she repeated. He obeyed, hands visible, confusion growing. She began circling him, slow like she was inspecting merchandise. "You fit the description of a suspect involved in a robbery this morning. Stay right there." "I've been at my mother's house all morning," Derrick said. "You're welcome to check." She didn't respond. Instead, she called it in on her radio. Something about backup. He shook his head. "Officer, look, I know my rights. I haven't done anything wrong, and I'd like to know what—" "Put your hands on the hood," she barked. He hesitated. "Are you seriously detaining me?" She walked up and shoved him. "Hands! Now!" Something shifted in Derrick's face. Not fear, not anger. Just disappointment. He turned and placed his palms on the hot metal of the car. Her hands searched him roughly. "I'm a consultant," he said over his shoulder. "I work with Fortune 500s. I don't carry weapons, drugs, or anything else you think I might have." "Don't talk," she said. "You're making it worse for yourself." The second patrol car arrived. Another officer stepped out. Hernandez, younger, more cautious. Karen briefed him quietly. He didn't look convinced, but he kept quiet. She cuffed Derrick anyway. "On what charge?" he asked, trying to stay calm. "Resisting arrest," she said. "I didn't resist." "You raised your voice, stepped toward me." "No," Derrick replied. "I asked a question. You just didn't like it." Her jaw set. She pushed him into the back of her car. As they drove toward the station, Derrick sat still. His phone buzzed inside his pocket. Probably his mom wondering where he was. He thought about the groceries melting in the sun, about the last time he saw someone cuffed for no reason. It hadn't ended well. He wasn't scared. He was tired. Tired of people like her, tired of proving himself, tired of standing still while someone else rewrote the story. At the station, they took his mugshot. Cold walls, sterile smell. A clipboard shoved at him without explanation. Karen filled out the report. The words on the page were like a script she'd written before. Aggressive, threatening posture, raised voice, non-compliant. But something about this one felt different. He hadn't cracked. He hadn't begged. He hadn't panicked. He'd looked her straight in the eye, and that unsettled her more than she'd admit. But this wouldn't go the way she thought. Not this time. They kept him overnight. No phone call, no explanation. Just a hard bench, a fluorescent light that buzzed, and the occasional muffled voice behind the desk. Derrick sat still, head leaned against the wall, his wrists from the cuffs. He wasn't panicking. He was analyzing, thinking through the next move like he would for a client back in Seattle. Only this wasn't about numbers or contracts. This was personal. At 7:13 a.m., the door opened. A different officer walked in. Older, grey around the temples, holding a clipboard. He looked at Derrick like he wasn't sure what kind of man sat in front of him. "You're being charged with obstruction of justice and resisting arrest," he said. "Bail hearing set for this afternoon." Derrick stared at him. "I didn't resist. I didn't obstruct anything. I was pulled over for no reason." The officer looked uncomfortable. "It's all in the report. I'd like to see the report." "You'll need your lawyer for that." "Then I'll call one." They gave him one call. He called Marvin Bexley, a former law school buddy turned criminal defense attorney based in Augusta. They hadn't spoken in years, but Marvin answered on the third ring. 30 minutes later, Marvin was already en route. "Sit tight," he said before hanging up. "I'll handle it." Karen Delacroix watched from her desk as Marvin walked in that afternoon, smooth and focused in a navy suit. She recognized the type, big city lawyer with a clipboard and a quiet attitude that said, "Try me." She didn't like it. She didn't like him. She sat down across from him and smiled. "Can I help you?" "I'm representing Mr. Rowe," he said calmly. "I'm here to see the arrest footage and the incident report." Her fingers tapped the desk. "That's internal. We'll release it to the court." Marvin leaned in slightly. "If you're confident in your story, officer, I'd imagine you wouldn't mind me taking a look now." She met his stare but didn't answer. Derrick was released on bail 2 hours later. Karen watched him walk out of the station with Marvin at his side, and something in her stomach twisted. He wasn't angry, he wasn't loud, he just looked determined. That night,